I was 24 when I moved into the duplex. It was my first time living alone, truly alone, and the place was perfect. A little old, maybe, with thin walls. But the rent was cheap. It was an up-and-down duplex, meaning I had the entire ground floor and some guy named Martin had the floor above me. I never saw him, but I heard him. Footsteps, muffled music, the sound of a vacuum. Normal stuff. The first weird thing happened about a week in. I was struggling to unlock my door, juggling groceries, when the front door to the building opened. It was Martin. He was pale. Really pale, with thin, straw-like hair and eyes that were a watery blue. He smiled, a wide, unnerving smile. "Need a hand?" he asked. His voice was soft, almost a whisper. I was so startled I nearly dropped my keys. "Oh, no, I got it. Thanks. You're in 1A, he said. It wasn't a question. "I'm Martin." Right above. He gestured upwards. "Good to finally meet you. You've been busy." I laughed nervously. "Yeah, just settling in." "I know," he said, still smiling. "You like classical music, Vivaldi? It's nice." I felt a chill. I'd been playing Vivaldi, but very, very quietly on my laptop. "The walls must be paper-thin," I said. Martin's smile didn't waver. "Paper-thin," he repeated. He then turned and walked up the stairs, his footsteps completely silent. That's when the helpfulness started. I'd come home from work, and he'd be on the landing. "Looks like you got that package you were waiting for," he'd say, pointing to the Amazon box. In my hand? "Oh, tough day at work." "How'd you sigh when you came in?" It was irritating, but I brushed it off. He was just a lonely, nosy neighbor. Then I started hearing the sounds at night. Not from above, from T-wall, the shared wall between my bedroom and the building's central staircase. I'd hear a faint scratching. Like a mouse. I'd bang on the wall, and it would stop. Then, a few minutes later, it would start again. One night, I was on the phone with my sister, complaining about my boss. It was a long, private conversation. The next morning, as I was leaving for work, Martin was at the bottom of the stairs, checking the mail. "Morning," he whispered. "Don't let that boss of yours, Dave, isn't it? Don't let him get you down. You should report him. What he's doing sounds illegal." I froze. My blood turned to ice. I hadn't said my boss's name. I'd just said my boss. I stared at him. "How? ... How did you know his name?" Martin just blinked, his pale eyes wide. "You ... You told me, didn't you?" "Must have. My mistake." He scurried back up the stairs. I didn't go to work. I went back inside my apartment and stood in the bedroom, staring at the wall. The one that connected to the staircase. It was covered in old, textured wallpaper. I listened. Silence. I waited all day. I sat in my dark apartment, not making a sound. As evening fell, I heard Martin's door open and close. I heard him walk down the stairs. I heard the front door open and shut. He was gone. My heart was hammering. I went to the wall. The scratching, it always came from one spot, right behind my dresser. I pushed the heavy oak dresser aside. The wallpaper looked normal, but when I touched it, it felt ... soft, spongy. I pressed my finger into it, and my finger went through. It was just a piece of wallpaper, glued over a hole. But it wasn't a hole into the hallway. It was a small, dark, hollow space. An old service shaft, maybe. I ran to the kitchen, grabbed a flashlight, and shined it inside. The shaft was dark and full of dust, but I could see something. On the ceiling of the shaft, which was the underside of Martin's floor, there was a series of holes, small, drilled holes, pointed down into the shaft. And inside the shaft with me, on my level, was a chair, a small wooden stool, and next to it, a water bottle and a plastic bag of snacks. He wasn't listening from his apartment above me. He was climbing into the walls. I was staring, horrified, when my flashlight beam caught something else, right at eye level with the stool. A small, dark circle. A lens. He had drilled a hole from the shaft through my bedroom wall and covered it with that piece of wallpaper. Then I heard it, the front door of the building opening. I didn't scream. I didn't move. I just switched off my flashlight and stood in the pitch-black, silent apartment. I heard the footsteps on the stairs, but they didn't go all the way up. He stopped. I heard a faint creak from the hallway, just outside my bedroom. A sound I'd never noticed before, a tiny, hidden panel opening. I heard a quiet shuffle. He was in the wall, not 3 feet away from me. I held my breath. The silence was absolute. And then, from the wall, I heard his whisper. So close it felt like it was inside my ear. "I know you're in there." I ran. I didn't grab my keys, my wallet, my phone. I just ran out of the apartment, out of the building, and didn't stop until I hit the main street. I never went back. Not even for my stuff. I still have nightmares about that pale, smiling face, and the sound of scratching in the dark. For 2 summers, I worked as a fire lookout in the Cabinet Mountains. It was the most isolating job on Earth. My post, Lookout 3, was a 14 by 14 foot room on top of 80-foot steel stilts, miles from the nearest logging road. Just me, the wind, and a 360-degree view of green, rolling wilderness. My only human contact was a daily radio check-in with dispatch. The solitude is strange. It gets inside you. You start to see things. A flicker of movement, that's just a deer. A wisp of smoke, that's just mist. You learn to tell the difference. It was my 2nd summer. I was seasoned. I knew the ridges. I knew the patterns of the clouds. I was in my 6th week, and the silence was total. Then, on a clear Tuesday afternoon, I saw him. I was scanning the South Ridge, about 3, maybe 4 miles out. A man was standing on the bold, rocky peak. Just ... standing there. This was odd. It was not a trail. There was no reason for anyone to be there. He was too far away to make out details. Just a dark shape against the sky. I raised my binoculars. He was wearing strange clothes. Bright, not hikers. Gear. Looked like a bright red shirt, and he wasn't moving. He was standing perfectly still, facing my tower. "Dispatch. This is Lookout 3, I said into the radio. I have a visual on an unidentified individual, South Ridge. The radio crackled. Copy 3. Hiker negative. No pack. No gear. He's just ... standing there. Should I advise? He's off negative. 3. Probably just a day tripper. Keep your eyes on it. Let us know if he starts a fire. I watched him all afternoon. He didn't move. Not Han In just stood there, a tiny red speck, staring. The next day, I was nervous. I kept scanning the South Ridge. Nothing. The day passed. I started to relax. Maybe it was just a weird hiker. Then, at 4 p.m., exactly as before, I saw him. But he wasn't on the South Ridge. He was on the next ridge over. Middle Ridge. A full mile closer. My heart jumped. I grabbed the binoculars. Same guy. Same bright red shirt. Same stance. Standing perfectly still, facing me. Dispatch. This is Lookout 3. My individual from yesterday's back. He's on Middle Ridge now. The radio pause was longer this time. ... Copy 3. Are you sure it's the same individual? Identical. Red shirt. He's a mile closer. ... That's not possible. 3. That's sheer cliff face. between those ridges. He'd need climbing gear and a day. Just ... Log? Italiano. I didn't log it. I watched. He stayed there all afternoon. Again, right at sunset. I blinked, and he was gone. I didn't sleep that night. The wind howled around the tower, and every creak of the metal supports sounded like a footstep. Day 3. Primera wa exit reading. 4 p.m. I spent the whole day scanning the next ridge. West Ridge was the one right below my tower. It was only about 500 yards away, a steep drop into a gully. Nothing. 4 p.m. came and went. Nothing. 5 p.m. 6 p.m. I let out a breath I'd been holding for 3 days. I was just seeing things. The isolation was getting to me. I turned to make dinner. The radio crackled to life, but it wasn't dispatch, it was static. And under the static, a voice, a dry, rasping whisper, getting ... closer. I spun around, my heart exploding in my chest. I looked at West Ridge. Nothing. I looked at Middle Ridge. Nothing. I looked at South Ridge. Nothing. And then I looked down. Not at the ridges. At the base of my tower. He was there, standing on the concrete footings, 80 feet directly below me. He was staring straight up. I didn't need binoculars. I could see his face. It was pale, with wide, dark eyes, and a grin that stretched too far across his face. He was wearing the red shirt. Dispatch. I screamed into the radio. Dispatch! He's here! He's at the tower. Code red. He's at the tower. The radio hissed. The whispering voice came back. Nobody can hear you. And then he started to climb. I watched, paralyzed, as he began to ascend the steel ladder. It was fast, unnaturally fast. I ran to the trapdoor, the only way in. Slammed the heavy bolt across. Primera suronet, my whole body shaking. Thud. 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 He was at the top. He was on the catwalk, right outside my door. I could hear his breathing, a wet, ragged sound. Knock. 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 A polite, gentle tapping on the trapdoor. Let me in, he whispered. His voice was right under my feet. It's cold out here. I stayed silent, tears streaming down my face. Scrape a new sound. The sound of metal on metal. I looked at the bolt. It was vibrating. He was trying to pick the lock from the outside. I grabbed the fire extinguisher, the only weapon I had. I stood on the door and waited. The scraping stopped. Silence. For a minute. 2 minutes. Then, a new sound. Tapping. But not on the door. Tap. 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 It was coming from the window. He was outside, clinging to the side of the building, his pale, grinning face pressed against the glass. He was 80 feet in the air. Ehust smiled, raised one hand, and tapped the glass again. I blacked out. I woke up to the sound of a helicopter. It was the search and rescue team. Dispatch had sent them when I missed my 24-hour check-in. They found me in a heap. The trapdoor still bolted. There was no sign of anyone. No footprints at the base. Nothing. They said I'd succumb to isolation panic. I never went back, but I still see him. Sometimes at night, I'll wake up, and I'll see that pale grinning face staring at me through my bedroom window. Even now. On the 3rd floor. When I was 16, the Crestview Mall was our local legend. It had been shut down for almost a decade. A huge, decaying monument to the 80s. It was boarded up, fenced off, and, according to everyone, haunted. My best friend Alex and I, we weren't ghost hunters. We were just bored. So, one Friday night, armed with flashlights and a crowbar, we decided to break in. Prying the plywood off a service entrance was easier than we thought. The air that hit us was the first warning. It was thick and wet and smelled like mold and rotting carpet. "This is gonna be sick," Alex whispered, his voice echoing in the darkness. We stepped inside. It was like a tomb. The only light was the weak moonlight filtering through the cracked glass atrium. Miles above us, our flashlights cut weak beams into the oppressive dark. We were in the old food court. Smashed tables were everywhere. Chairs flipped over. It was dead silent. "So, where are the ghosts?" I joked, my voice sounding small. "Probably in the arcade," Alex said, already moving. We walked through the main concourse. Every sound we made was amplified. The crunch of broken glass under our sneakers, the drip, drip, drip of water from the ceiling. We passed shattered storefronts, a clothing store with faceless, naked mannequins scattered on the floor, a jewelry store, its cases smashed. We found the arcade. It was at the far end of the mall, in the anchor store that used to be a Sears. Most of the machines were gone, but a few were left. Alex found an old, unplugged Rampage cabinet and started pretending to play, making explosion noises. "Shut up, man," I hissed. "Just listen, I don't know. Just sta." He stopped, and in the silence, we heard it. It was music. Faint, but unmistakable. That tinny, repetitive melody of an ice cream truck. We looked at each other, our blood running cold. That's not possible," Alex said. The music was coming from deeper inside the mall, from the pitch-black service corridors behind the arcade. "It's just an echo, right?" I said, not believing it. "From outside, we're in the center of a concrete bunker," Alex said. "Nothing gets in from outside." The music stopped. Just cut off, mid-note. The silence that followed was heavy. "Let's go," I said, grabbing his arm. "Now." "Wait," Alex whispered, shining his light down the dark corridor. "I think I saw something." "I don't care. Let's go." "No. Look." He pointed. At the end of the hallway, maybe 50 yards away, something was on the floor. It was small. A kid's toy. A teddy bear. "Dude, that's creepy. Let's bail." Alex started walking toward it. "Someone's in here," he said, his voice a mix of fear and excitement. "They're squatting." "Alex, no, ignore me." He got to the bear and crouched down, shining his light on it. It was old and matted with ... Something wet. As he picked it up, we heard a new sound. A low, wet giggle. It came from a doorway, right next to him. Alex screamed. He dropped the bear and scrambled back, falling over. His flashlight beam went crazy, slicing through the dark, and in that wild light, I saw it. It wasn't a squatter. It wasn't a ghost. In the doorway stood a person. Oh, it used to be. It was Rayathan, dressed in what looked like routing rags, and it was wearing a mascot head, one of those giant, cartoon animal heads. It was a filthy, stained, yellow rabbit, with one ear torn off and mesh eyes that stared blankly. It just stood there, tilting its giant rabbit head, and it giggled again. That same wet, choked sound. "Run!" I screamed. We ran. We didn't look back. We scrambled through the main concourse, slipping on wet tile, smashing through the remnants of a kiosk. The whole time, we could hear it behind us. Not running, but walking. A slow, steady, and hurried thud. Dot. Dud. Thud. Dot. And the music was back. The ice cream truck music, louder now, echoing all around us. It was coming from it. We burst out of the service entrance, falling onto the wet grass, gasping for air. We ran all the way to my house. We never told anyone. Who would believe us? About a month later, we read in the paper that the city was fast-tracking the mall's demolition. A biohazard risk, the article said. When the crews went in to prep the site, they found ... something. The paper was vague. It just said they found evidence of long-term vagrancy and disturbing, ritualistic materials in the service corridors. But I knew what they found. I know that thing in the rabbit head wasn't a vagrant. It was something that had been born in the dark, fed on the rot, and it was furious that we had invaded its home. And I know, if we'd been 2 seconds slower, it would have kept us there.